Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are tackling something that trips up, pretty much every Spanish learner at some point. It's that tiny little two-letter word, it. It seems so simple, right? But oh boy, can it cause some serious confusion.
So yeah, let's just get right to it. How do you say it in Spanish? Seriously, if you've ever been mid-sentence and just paused, completely frozen, not sure what word to grab, trust me, you are so not alone. This one is tricky, and the reason is, well, there's no single easy answer.
But hey, don't worry, that's what we're here for. We've got a super clear roadmap to figure this all out. We're going to start by looking at why it's a problem in the first place. Then we'll break down how to use it on it's the subject, and then when it's the object. We'll even uncover this thing called the invisible it. Sounds mysterious, right? And finally, we'll wrap it all up.
All right, first things first. Let's really dig into what makes this little word such a headache. Okay, so here it is. The absolute golden rule you need to remember. Spanish just doesn't have a direct one-for-one word for it. It's not a thing. Instead, the word you use completely depends on two key things. First, the gender of the noun you're talking about, and second, its function, what it's actually doing in the sentence.
So let's tackle that first scenario. What happens when it is the subject of the sentence? You know, the one doing the action.
Okay, we'll start with a super simple example using a masculine noun. In English, you'd say, the car is fast. The Spanish equivalent, el coche es rápido. Easy enough, right? Nothing crazy so far. But what if we want to replace the car with a pronoun? In English, that's easy. It is fast. Now here's the magic. In Spanish, since coche is masculine, you have to use the masculine pronoun, which is el. So, it is fast actually becomes el es rápido. See how that works? Okay, so that's masculine. What about a feminine noun? Let's switch gears and talk about the house. The house is white in Spanish is, you might have guessed, la casa es blanca. And this is where it all clicks into place. When we swap out la casa for a pronoun, we have to use the feminine one, ella. So it is white becomes ella es blanca. It's all about matching the gender of the noun you're replacing. That's the whole secret right there.
Okay, now here's a little pro tip for you, something that'll make you sound way more natural. In everyday conversation, you're probably just going to hear es rápido or es blanca. Why? Well, the verb ending, the es, already tells you it's a third-person subject. So native speakers, they just drop the el or ella a lot of the time. It's implied.
All right, we've got the subject down. Now let's switch things up and see what happens when it is the object of the sentence, the thing receiving the action.
So the rules change a little bit here, so pay attention. Let's go back to our friend el coche. If someone asks you, this el coche, do you see the car? And you want to say, yes, I see it, you say, sí, lo veo. So for a masculine object, our word for it is lo.
And I bet you can see where this is going, right? Let's take a feminine object like la manzana, the apple. If the question is, ¿compraste la manzana? Did you buy the apple? Your answer is, sí, la compré. I bought it. We use la because we have to match that feminine noun. Simple as that. Okay, get ready for the twist. This next part is probably the most surprising and maybe the coolest rule about it in Spanish. I call it the invisible it. Because, and you might not believe this at first, sometimes the perfect translation for it is no word at all. Seriously, you just leave it out. This is what's so fascinating. It's how Spanish deals with these big impersonal ideas. Think about things like weather, or time, or just general statements. The it just vanishes. It is raining simply becomes está lloviendo. It is hot is hace calor. It is 3 o'clock is son las tres. And it is important is just es importante. You see? No pronoun needed. The verb does all the work.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground. So let's take a deep breath and put all these pieces together in one simple spot.
All right, think of this table right here as your ultimate cheat sheet, your survival guide for the word it. It really lays it all out for you. If it is the subject, you're using el for masculine things, ella for feminine. If it is the direct object, it's lo for masculine, la for feminine. And for that impersonal it, weather, time, general ideas, you use absolutely nothing. The verb stands alone. And you know what? To make sure this really sticks, let's talk about the mistakes that everyone makes.
The number one trap is trying to find a direct translation for it every single time. Don't do it. Especially with weather and time, just let the verb do its thing. Another big one is using words like eso or isto. Those mean that thing or this thing. They're for abstract ideas, not when you're referring back to a specific gendered noun. Just remember, stick to él and ella for subjects and lo and la for objects. That's your safe zone. Let's look at one final example that puts all the rules into action in a single thought. I have the book. It is interesting. I bought it yesterday. Okay, let's break it down. Tengo el libro. Perfect. Now, it is interesting. Here, it is the subject referring to the masculine book, so we get él es interesante. Remember, you can drop the L. Then, I bought it yesterday. Now, it is the object I bought, so we use lo and get lo compré ayer. See how it all flows together?
So you see, it's really not about just memorizing a new word. It's about understanding a fundamental difference in how Spanish is built compared to English. And now you have the complete blueprint for handling it like a pro. So the only real question left is, now that you've cracked the code, how are you going to use this to level up your Spanish and sound that much more natural?